So this is Unit 1, Section 2, Part 2. We're going to continue right where we left off in the previous video. So see the playlist if you missed that part. So we're starting with the deaf culture note about getting attention. Because you can't use sound to get a deaf person's attention, you can still get their attention in other ways, but try not to work harder than necessary to get their attention. 2 effective and considerate ways are tapping the person on the shoulder and waving a hand in their direction. There are other ways. 5 typically are used. So the first is a shoulder tap. This is considered public space to tap a deaf person somewhere on their upper arm or shoulder. A quick light tap is usually enough to get their attention. Waving your hand in any way to get their attention. Making something vibrate, stamping on the floor, pounding your fist on the table, tapping on a wall, anything that makes a vibration will get their attention. Another thing that you can do is flash the lights. Can be going over the light switch and flicking it on and off. Another more recent use is using your phone's flashlight, the strobe, and turn that on and waving your phone with the flashlight on back and forth to get their attention. And the last one, which has a little asterisk of caution, but is throwing a light object. So this could be throwing a throw pillow or, a piece of paper or something else light. We're not trying to cause injury. And this is typically done in a home environment or a very casual environment with friends. You're not going to throw things at people during a formal presentation. But if you're in a casual environment, throwing a light object at or towards the person will also get their attention. The last sign in this little section of vocabulary, besides tapping a person on the shoulder and waving the hand, is turn off your voice. It's as though there's a little switch and you turned it off. So, rules for voices. When you're talking with a hearing person without signing when a deaf person comes in, that's considered rude because you're not allowing them to understand what's going on. So always sign if you can. If you know a deaf person is in the same room, even though they're not in the conversation, it's important that everybody have equal access to communication. Just like the other hearing people can hear you, it's important that the deaf people can see the conversation so they can join in if they would like to. When you're speaking to a person who doesn't know ASL, just speak while you sign at least, even if you're not interpreting for the other person. Most deaf people know when hearing people are talking, even though they can't hear you. They can see your mouth moving, even if you're whispering. So deaf people will notice these small visual cues easily, and they will feel upset, insulted, and left out if they know that you're talking and you're not signing. If you want to have a private conversation, don't do it around other people, deaf or hearing. And it's not necessary to speak when you're signing with a deaf person. You can switch off your voice. If they're hard of hearing, there's different reasons you might want to use your voice at the same time, but it's not necessary. And if it's a new person you've just met, start with your voice off and see how it goes from there. The next note is the grammar rule for yes or no questions. Your eyebrows are up. You look inquisitive, like you want to know the information that they're going to tell you after you ask the question. So keep your eyebrows raised until you have completed signing the question. The only difference sometimes between a question and a statement is that facial expression, so it's very important to know I'm making direct eye contact, my eyebrows are up, I'm looking at you with my head tilted forward. That's the difference between a question and just making a statement. For example, the sentence, I'm going to the bathroom, can be turned into a question. So, I'm going to the bathroom. Thanks for telling me. Am I going to the bathroom? Meaning, can I go to the bathroom? Am I going to the bathroom? Yes, I can go. Next is some vocabulary for conversations, basic still. ASL is signed one letter after the other, moving in a little short space out. ASL. To sign, usually use your one hand shape. Some people are more like D's. The circles are coming back towards yourself. Some people's palms are facing forward. Some people's palms are facing down. Those are both correct. You can even have them facing backwards. That works too. Go. 2 fingers up and go towards something. Go. Toilet or bathroom is the letter T, and then it's like flushing the toilet. Toilet or bathroom. To learn. This is a paper or book. I grab everything off of it and I pull it up into my head. To learn. Again or repeat. Again, repeat. And slow comes up my arm. Again, usually my arm would be way down here, but you can't see it, so I'm holding it up here. But slow, my fingers brush up my arm. And the slower I sign it, the slower I'm asking you to sign, please. So the next word is please. On my flat hand, and it moves away from my dominant side. Please. Thank you. You don't say thank you, because that looks like good you. So thank you. This is the flat open hand like this is part of the formal way to sign you, which we'll talk about much later. But thank you directed towards the person you're thanking with your hand out like this directs your statement to them. The sign yes, letter S, and it nods up and down like your head nods. Nod your head with it, yes. And no, that's your N-O, so that's your N fingers and making a little O to the side. No, and shake your head when you sign it. No. All right. So you could ask a person, are you hearing? And you could say, nope, I'm deaf. There's some other activities in here, so you can work through those on your own if you're practicing to catch up. The next is the accent step about mouthing. You don't need to mouth the words when you're signing in ASL necessarily. You can, it's not necessary. Depends on who you're talking with. Many deaf people do not rely on lip reading at the same time, so it's not necessary, but some do, and if that's how you feel more comfortable, that's fine. It's not wrong. It's just more English. Hearing people will mouth the English when they sign. From habit, you might think it helps the deaf person read your lips, and it might. It depends on the person. But remember, only about 30% of English is visible on the lips, so it's most important that you sign correctly, not be so concerned with your mouth matching the English. A deaf person may mouth the words to help hearing people understand their signs, because even if you don't practice, most hearing people are pretty decent at lip reading, especially with the sign with it, so it can help you understand the signs if you're still learning. In ASL, pure 100% ASL, we don't mouth in English, and our lips are used to show other parts of grammar, which we will be learning later also. But remember, every deaf person is different. Some sign in more English, but this curriculum is teaching ASL, so it will mention things related to that form or kind of signing. And eye gaze, when you're indexing or pointing to something, you look towards it as a referent. So, my friend, he or she. This helps to hold or reserve that location that you're signing or talking about. That's why it's done. And last one for this, we're going to be talking about deaf versus death. It's a widespread pet peeve in the deaf community. People will misspeak or misunderstand the word and say death instead of deaf. Are you deaf? So make sure that you are clear about when you spell those words or sign those words. They have different meanings. All right, and I'm going to end this now, and there'll be a short third video for this section.